Hey friends, welcome back to Pastor Kevin and Friends. You wonder where I am? This doesn't look the same as where I normally am. I'm at my mom's house. It's always a fun place to be. I like to come over and see her for a little while. Hey, I wanted to ask you, do you know numbers? How high can you count? Ooh, I've counted past 100 a time or two. I've even tried to count backwards. Not always easy. But numbers are very important. We need numbers in our life for so many different things. We need to be able to count so we know how many of something that we may have, especially if it's cookies or candy. We need to know numbers so we can sort things. We need to know numbers for directions. Which way are we going to go? Whose house? If I needed to come to your house, I would need to know your address so I could find the right house. Otherwise, I have to go door to door to door and ask, is this where Jonathan lives? Is this where Timothy lives? Is this where my friend, whoever I'm looking for? I don't want to do it that way. I need your house number to make it easier for me to find you. If I'm cooking, I need to know the number so I have the right number of ingredients and not too much of this and not too much of that, because otherwise it may not be too good at cookies if we don't get the right numbers. And guess what? Numbers started all the way at the beginning with the Bible. You look at it and you read, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And on the first day, day number 1, he created this. On day number 2, he created this. And on day number 3. And so 7 days, that's how many days it took him to create everything. So numbers are very important. If we read our Bible, there are chapters and books and verses, and they all have numbers to help us find what we're looking for. How many books are there in the Bible? Do you know? Well, 66. But how can I know that? Well, here's a little trick. Did you know the word Old Testament tells us how many books there are in the Old Testament? Yeah. How many letters are there in the word old? 3. That's exactly right. What about Testament? Count them real quick. There's 9. So there's 39 books in the Old Testament. So to figure out how many books are in the New Testament, we could take the 66 that I told you about, subtract the 39, but there's another way. How many letters in the word new? 3. How many letters in the word Testament? 9. 3 times 9 is 27. So there's 39 books in the Old Testament, 27 in the New Testament. Numbers are very important. You go through the Bible and you see all sorts of numbers. God made the heavens and the earth, 7 days of creation. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights when Noah was on the ark. Noah was 125 years old when he started building the ark. Can you imagine how big his cake would have had to been to put all those birthday candles on it? Well, he was 500 when he started it, so he would have had a big birthday cake. Been eating on that for months. But numbers were very important. Here's the number for you. How many stones did David take to kill Goliath? 5. He didn't take 5 in case he missed. He took 5 because Goliath had some brothers and he needed to take them out as well. But I wanted to show you some numbers I came across. Sometimes when I'm reading the Bible, I'll see a number and go, that's interesting. Why is that there? Well, I want to read to you in my Bible. It's highlighted. It says in John chapter 21, verse 11, Simon Peter climbed aboard. So Peter and the disciples were back fishing after Jesus had died and had risen from the grave, but they didn't know where he was. They didn't know what to do, so they went fishing. They're out fishing. They haven't caught anything all night long. When all of a sudden Jesus says, hey, take your nets and cast them on the other side. Peter realized who it was, but they cast their nets on the other side. They caught such a large number of fish, they didn't know what to do. In fact, the Bible says right here that Peter climbed aboard and dragged the net ashore. They couldn't get it in the boat, I guess. It was full of large fish, 153. But even with so many, the net was not torn. 153. And then you go down to verse 14. It says this was the 3rd time Jesus appeared to his disciples after he was raised from the dead. How do I know that? Well, the Bible tells me so, right? Well, but let's do some more math as we think about Jesus. 53. This was the 3rd time Jesus appeared. Can you do division? I can. 3 goes into 153 51 times. I'm going to write 51 down, okay? 51,153. How many people would there needed to be for Jesus to want to give his life and show us love? Do you know? I know the answer. 1. If you were the only person to ever been born, only person to ever live, did you know Jesus would have died for you? And I find it interesting as I read about Jesus. You know something he did? One night, just before he was arrested and taken away and crucified, he was praying. And he prayed to God the Father. He prayed, Father, may they be one as you and I are one. Jesus wants us to be connected. He wants us to have unity. He wants us to have fellowship with one another. But you know what else he wants us to do? He told his disciples to go and be fishers of men. See my little fish hook? It's upside down. What's a fisher of men? He wants us to go and tell others about Jesus. But of all the numbers, I can't remember them. I can't remember what order they go in. I get confused on numbers. I tell you what you really need to know is what these numbers come up to with. Because this is what we need to know if we want to get into heaven. We need to know Jesus' number, and that is asking him to be our forever friend. Hey, gotta go, friends, and I'll see you as soon as I can. Bye-bye.